Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for choosing our show today. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you make of Rigathi's US tour? Ever since he landed there, do you think he's close to achieving its recommended purpose? Do you think he has achieved what took him there? And how do you think the government, is perceiving the visit to the USA? I'm asking this because the government has done something that is really shocking. They have been caught red handed editing newspaper headlines to disregard Rigathi Gachagua's tour in the US. And they are doing everything within their reach to ensure that they paint Rigathi Gachagua as someone who should not even be considered for any political post. I want us to go straight to what they have done. Now, they have picked the Standard newspaper on Saturday, 12th of this month, that is last Saturday. And if you saw the headline, either you read it online or bought a physical newspaper, you'll understand what I mean. Now, this is what they are saying, that diaspora snubs Gachagua. That's the edited one. I'll give you the real one. I want us to begin with the edited one. Diaspora snubs Gachagua. And then they go ahead to say that repudiation. Rigathi Gachagua's much publicized US tour has ended in humiliation as Kenyans in the diaspora firmly rejected his divisive agenda and hollow rhetoric. In city after city, they told him bluntly to first return home and apologize to hardworking Kenyans who lost their businesses and livelihoods during violent protest he sponsored. The diaspora made it clear they have no time for leaders who thrive on chaos and division. Instead, they stand firmly with President Ruto's government, which is focused on unity, economic growth, and restoring dignity to all Kenyans at home and abroad. You can imagine how low can we condescend? Now, before I even go on, I want to give you the real headline. On 12th, that's last Saturday, the real headline of the Standard newspaper was Companies Graveyard. They were describing how companies have fallen, jobs have been lost under Ruto's administration, and it reads, when President William Ruto stood in London, he mocked the media for reporting the companies were fleeing Kenya. But that, as always, was Ruto's trademark playbook. Dish out alternative facts. The Standard can authoritatively confirm that more than 10 multinationals have closed shop, with many more forced to restructure or scale back because of a toxic business environment, punishing taxes, electricity cost, unpredictable policies, and political volatility. So the Standard on Saturday criticized William Ruto, and they were capturing how when William Ruto was in London, he had criticized the media for reporting that companies were closing down. I don't want to get to that. So you can compare the two. And in their edited one, they are trying to go back to their usual narrative that it was Rigathi Gachagua who sponsored the demonstrations, while we've seen certain videos where the police was breaking some shops, some supermarkets. So they want to claim that it was Rigathi Gachagua who sponsored that. Then they're also trying to insinuate that the diaspora team rejected Rigathi Gachagua and that the diaspora team reaffirmed their support for William Samoei Ruto, who they claim ostensibly is building the economy, and that Kenyans are in support of William Samoei Ruto. And that's why I asked you, what do you make of Rigathi's tour? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to go to another publication. Apparently, there is a young comedian who used to mimic Rigathi Gachagua. He passed on 2 days ago. So Rigathi condoled with the family. And they have now turned that, and they are now saying that Rigathi Gachagua did not even recognize that boy, that he didn't like him for mimicking him. And I want us to go straight to this. Rigathi said that I have this morning woken up to the sad demise of Mr. Zakaria Kariuki, alias Mr. KK Mwenyewe, a content creator par excellence and inspiration to many. Mr. KK, a young, consistent, and resilient young man, used comedy to communicate simple and creative message to all Kenyans and spoke to our hearts. I send my deepest sympathies to the family and his friends at this difficult moment. I condole the creative industry on the loss of a champion whose creative eye lives with us for days to come. May his soul rest in eternal peace, and God grant his family peace. That was a message. He simply condoled with the family. Now, if you go through the comments, you may think that people were sponsored to go and invade, because the comments were, you ignored this boy when he was alive, you didn't help him, I don't know what, very many things. Now, there is this post that I don't think whether it is verified, but there is this post where Eric Wamumbi, who is the Madeira MP, saying something. And this is what they suppose that Eric Wamumbi is saying. Remember, Eric Wamumbi is the member of parliament who does not see eye to eye with Rigathi Gachagua. So they are insinuating that this was the reply after Rigathi condoled with the fallen comedian. They're saying that on 3rd November 2022, this young guy was fundraising for his university school fees. I approached you and showed his content. He was imitating your speeches. I requested you to pay his school fees and give him a job in your office. What did you tell me? You said that kijana ni takataka, anavaa koti kubwa na hiyo ni kukukosea heshima. I pleaded with you that it was just content creation, and that is the time you told your PA to look for the girl who had coined the name Rigiji. This one you remember, na huwezi kata, Mr. Truthful Man. So they are trying to allege that this is Eric Wamumbi. Now people are still asking, is this true? So they are also trying to portray Rigathi Gachagua as a man who cannot help, a man who is easily angered with petty issues like just comedy, and a man who cannot help. Now, if you look at what they insinuate is Eric Wamumbi, you'll realize that there Eric Wamumbi is wearing a white shirt. But if you go to the real X handle of Eric Wamumbi, you look at that shirt, it is a stripped shirt, thereby making me think that that is not his verified account. But why would they put it there? Because I went and searched for if that is the verified account. They are now just trying to insinuate, they're portraying him as someone who should not be considered. He's not considerate. He has not helped anyone from Mount Kenya. That is what they are saying. Yet Rigathi simply condoled with the family. So apart from the tour in the USA, they are now also saying that Rigathi, you see the way they are fighting him. They're fighting him at home, they're fighting him abroad. Now, they are saying that Rigathi was snubbed, and I had this kind of argument that, Rigathi is only meeting people from Mount Kenya. But that is not very true. Of course, I think those who invited him were from Mount Kenya. You see, when you are invited, it is our business. When you invite me to the US, it is my business with you. You cannot compel others to be part of it. Of course, I agree that Rigathi should have arranged with the people invited him so that he meet other communities. But this is the answer. It is not only people from Mount Kenya, and I want us to read together. This evening, I had the pleasure of meeting and having a candid discussion with my cousins from the Abagusi community in Seattle, Washington. You know, I am glad that they understand the challenges our country is undergoing and their commitment to supporting a positive change. It's motivating to see our community members come together with concern, hope, and shared desire to contribute to a better future. So it is not true that Rigathi is only meeting people from Mount Kenya. He met the members of the Bagusi community. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is not true that Rigathi met only the people of the sons and daughters of Mumbi. He actually met the members of the Bagusi community. And like I said, if this was an arrangement between the members of Mount Kenya who invited Rigathi Gachagua, then we cannot really claim that it is wrong for him to meet the other people. Maybe it has to start from somewhere. For example, why did those communities invite him? You cannot wait for me to invite my guest. Then you claim that my guest is not, visiting you, yet it wasn't your arrangement. And I know maybe later or within the course of his visit, within his tour, he might meet other people. And I think that it is now upon the other communities, if they want to meet with Rigathi Gachagua, to make an arrangement. Because I think we are building a mountain out of a molehill. And I know these people are trying to remind us of what Rigathi used to do, how Rigathi used to say shareholders, how Rigathi used to do. That is what they are trying to do. So the question is, why are they worried? Why have they gone? They have condescended to the lowest point where they even edit newspaper headlines to give them credit and to discredit Rigathi Gachagua. One, they are afraid that Rigathi is really now making inroads, both locally and internationally. Rigathi took the one-term call, and it really resonated well. People are welcoming that indeed Ruto is a one-term president. They don't like that. Number two, they can't just imagine that this is the man that they impeached to go to Wamunyoro. They thought they had finished him. Yet Rigathi Gachagua is a man with 9 lives like a cat. And they can't just imagine that Rigathi is alive and kicking and is even growing, more wings and growing stronger. He's now the face of the opposition. And I think they don't like that. That is why they are trying to portray him and paint a very bad picture about him. They didn't like the idea of Rigathi, revealing that they are collecting and collating evidences led by the former Attorney General J.B. Muturi about deaths of our youths, disappearances, kidnappings, and they will soon report William Ruto to the Hague, the ICC. Now, Rigathi Gachagua is gaining momentum and support. Just the other day, the former Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga also supported the calls that ICC should come to the country because they say in a record just within one month, we have lost about 60 youths. That is breaking the record. Even if you want to say that other presidents also killed, I think this president has also surpassed them. And that's why they are not afraid of it, and they will do anything to try and discredit Rigathi Gachagua. But it is too little too late because the train has left and William Ruto has to accept that he could be the first president to do one term. So, ladies and gentlemen, it really bothers me that they can do this. They can edit a newspaper headline. They want to sponsor, some X handle to say that Rigathi Gachagua is a tribalist. He's selfish. He does not help. But it is too little too late because Kenyans have decided. By the way, this is not about Rigathi. This is about Kenyans who feel the pangs of hunger. the pangs of unemployment, the pain of unemployment, and the sad news that we wake up to, that children, youths have been killed, like the 12-year-old girl who was buried yesterday. So it is not about Rigathi Gachagua, neither is it about opposition. It is about the SHA that is not working. Yesterday, Macarena, did truth and told us it is not working. It is about the system that is not working when the government keeps on pontificating and telling us they are working on things, and Ruto says, no matter what you say, I don't care. I have a plan to change this country. Let them accept the reality. Let them face the reality. Let them measure on the measures, not measuring on the minor, looking for excuses, like a drowning man that will catch on at a straw to rescue himself. I don't know what to think, but the government has really exposed itself on this one.